In the crucial victory against Aston Villa, the name Benjamin Cesco once again became the focal point, though not in the familiar fashion of a starting striker deciding the match from the kickoff. Instead, the Slovenian marksman emerged from the substitute bench, and like a script that has been repeated many times recently, he scored at a pivotal moment to secure the advantage for Manchester United. This simultaneously demonstrates Cesco's value and raises a significant question regarding manager Michael Carrick's personnel management. The decision to leave Cesco on the bench from the start was clearly not easy for many to fathom. Following a subpar performance against Newcastle, the fact that he was not in peak form is a reality. However, the issue lies in the fact that Cesco was not the only individual playing lackluster football in that match. Bryan Mbeumo, one of the players retained in the starting lineup, also failed to make much of an impression. Nevertheless, Carrick maintained his faith in the Cameroonian player, even pulling him into the center of the attack, a position where Mbeumo had previously performed well against big opponents like Manchester City or Arsenal. Surrounding Mbeumo was the mobility of Matheus Cunha and Amad Diallo, players who constantly swapped positions and created an attacking system without a fixed center forward. In terms of concept, this is an approach deeply rooted in the breadth of modern football. A fluid front line helps stretch the opponent's defensive system, opening up spaces to exploit. Diagonal runs, situations of drifting wide and then suddenly penetrating the central lane, can leave the opposing defense in a state of disorientation. However, football does not stop at operational flexibility. Sometimes, the most important thing is simplicity, having someone in the right position to finish the play. And that is exactly what Manchester United lacked in the first half of this match. From the very first minutes, Carrick's team created no shortage of opportunities from the two flanks. Crosses were continuously delivered. Low balls were sent into the danger zone. Matheus Cunha once had an excellent piece of play when he sent a ball flashing across the face of goal, a situation where just a slight touch could have been converted into a goal. But there, no true center forward existed to capitalize on the chance. Amad Diallo, with his limited physical stature, could not compete in the tight spaces in front of the goal. Diogo Dalot later produced another quality cross, but the outcome remained unchanged. The ball passed through the danger zone without anyone capable enough or positioned well enough to finish. That was the greatest paradox in Manchester United's style of play in the first half. They chose an attacking method based on crosses, yet did not utilize a striker proficient in aerial duels. The statistic of 14 crosses in the first half, with only one finding the intended target, reflects not just an issue of accuracy, but also highlights the contradiction in tactical intent. On the bench, Cesco, a tall, powerful striker in aerial situations, remained unused. The balls being sent into the penalty area seemed to be waiting for him, yet the recipients were players unsuited for that type of situation. Aston Villa quickly realized this and adjusted their defense. With a tall and physically robust center-back pairing like Tyrone Mings and Ezri Konsa, they faced no difficulty in neutralizing the crosses. In fact, Villa appeared quite comfortable when the opponent took the ball wide, as they knew the real threat did not lie there. What they feared more were quick combinations through the middle, where the mobility of the attacking players could create a breakthrough. In other words, Manchester United was inadvertently playing in a way that made it easier for the opponent to defend. And it was not until the 20th cross of the match that they truly capitalized on this approach. From a high ball situation, Casemiro rose high to head home the opening goal. It was a turning point, but at the same time, it highlighted a core question. If the choice was to attack via crosses, why was a striker like Cesco not utilized from the beginning? When Cesco was introduced in the second half, everything became clearer. His presence immediately provided a specific destination for the high balls. Beyond just aerial ability, Cesco brought the sensation of a true center forward, someone who can occupy space, pressure the defense, and most importantly, finish the situation. His goal after coming on was the clearest evidence. It wasn't merely a strike. It was a reminder of the value of a classic number 9 in specific moments. Cesco does not need many chances, but when the opportunity arrives, he knows how to take it. Under Carrick, Cesco has only started 2 out of 9 matches, a figure that suggests this is not a momentary decision. The English manager seems to be aiming for a more flexible Manchester United, where attacking players can swap positions and participate in many phases of play. This is a common trend in modern football, where many teams succeed without a typical center forward. However, Manchester United is still in the process of defining its identity. And in specific matches, especially when facing teams that defend deep and are well organized, the presence of a striker like Cesco can make a massive difference. Flexibility is not always the key. Because sometimes the simplest thing is the most effective thing. The fact that Cesco continually comes off the bench to score does not necessarily prove that Carrick is wrong. In many cases, a super sub can have a major impact when the opponent is fatigued. But if this script repeats too many times, the question will no longer be one of curiosity. It will become a tactical issue that needs answering. Carrick is clearly trying to build a modern, mobile, and unpredictable team. But on that journey, he also faces a difficult puzzle: how to balance flexibility and efficiency. And in that picture, Benjamin Cesco is a special piece, a striker who brings a simple solution that is sometimes exactly what the team needs most. Because ultimately, football always revolves around one basic objective: putting the ball in the net. And to do that, sometimes you just need someone standing in the right place at the right time. With Cesco, Manchester United possesses exactly that type of player. Once doubted and labeled a flop after arriving at Manchester United for a price tag of up to £74 million in the summer of 2024, Benjamin Cesco is now rewriting his own story in the most convincing way. From a controversial signing, the Slovenian striker has risen to become one of the most dangerous spearheads in the attack, while also being the clearest bright spot since the team underwent a change in the dugout. Cesco's transformation did not happen by accident. It is linked to the calculated management of HLV Michael Carrick. Instead of rushing to grant him a regular starting spot, Carrick chose a bolder path by turning Cesco into a trump card from the bench. In his last 10 appearances, the 22-year-old striker has scored 8 goals, an extremely impressive efficiency, especially considering he only featured in the starting lineup 4 times. Those numbers do not just speak to his form, but also reflect how a player is placed in the right circumstances to maximize their value. Carrick's strategy brings many clear benefits. By not having to grind out too many minutes on the pitch, Cesco consistently maintains a state of peak physical fitness. More importantly, he enters the match with a hungry mindset, ready to create a difference in a short span of time. Every time he is subbed on, Cesco displays an enthusiasm and a sharp goal-scoring instinct that not every young striker can maintain consistently. This becomes even more notable when looking back at the previous period under Ruben Amorim. At that time, Cesco often seemed out of sync with the tactical system and had to endure heavy pressure from comparisons with top strikers like Erling Haaland or Rasmus Højlund. There were even reports suggesting he was not the priority choice for the Portuguese strategist, who was believed to want to bring in Ollie Watkins as a replacement. In that context, the confidence of a young player like Cesco could hardly avoid being affected. However, football always demonstrates the value of faith when placed in the right spot. Under Carrick's guidance, Cesco has not only found his scoring touch, but is also gradually adapting to the grueling intensity of the Premier League. He has improved his movement, positioning, and particularly his alertness in the penalty area, core elements of a modern center forward. No longer the image of a raw and inconsistent player, Cesco now brings the aura of a true assassin whenever he appears. Legend Peter Schmeichel did not hesitate to praise Carrick's use of Cesco, emphasizing that keeping him on the bench at certain times is a way to maintain his hunger for goals. This assessment accurately reflects the reality. Cesco is being exploited in the most optimal way, where he can maximize his strengths without being placed under excessive pressure. Nevertheless, the road ahead for the Slovenian striker still holds many challenges. Managing his minutes will play a crucial role in avoiding burnout, especially as he is still in a developmental stage. But with what he has shown, Cesco has every reason to become the mainstay center forward for Manchester United in the near future. If he continues to maintain this upward trajectory and has a well-prepared preseason, Cesco will not just be a backup option to create breakthroughs, but could become the name that leads the Red Devils' attack. From a doubted signing, he is step-by-step asserting himself as the answer to the number 9 puzzle that the team has been searching for over many years.